Welcome to the deep dive. If you're leading anything, really, could
Yeah.
be a team, a company, maybe your family, or even just yourself,
Hmm.
you're always hitting this tension point, right? That crossroads between conviction and what's just convenient.
Mm, that choice. It really is the core test of leadership, isn't it? Especially today. I mean, the pressure is intense. You've got pressure for results, fast results, and it often feels like you have to, bend the rules a bit.
Or maybe just keep quiet when you shouldn't.
Exactly. Stay strategically silent. And in that kind of environment, real solid integrity, it almost feels like a luxury.
Yeah, like something you can't really afford if you want to get ahead.
Precisely. Which is why today we're really going to drill down into our sources because they argue quite strongly, actually, that this common thinking is, well, it's backwards.
Completely backwards. Yeah, we're exploring this idea that integrity isn't just some soft skill, some nice-to-have virtue.
No, it's positioned as the ultimate unseen force, the thing that actually shapes your purpose, your influence.
And I found this fascinating argument in the material. That opposition, the stuff that gets in your way, it's not actually a threat to your calling.
It's the proving ground.
Exactly. The proving ground of your character.
Hmm. And maybe we should clarify what we mean by integrity right up front, because it's easy to just think honesty.
Good point. It's more than that.
Much more. Fundamentally, it's about wholeness, like internal consistency.
Wholeness.
Like,
Yeah.
what you believe, what you say, and what you actually do, they all line up seamlessly.
So you're consistent, predictable in a good way.
In the most trustworthy sense, yes. Especially when the pressure's on. That's the real test of that wholeness.
Okay, but here's the paradox, isn't it? If being whole and trustworthy is so obviously valuable, why does the modern world often seem to reward the opposite?
Well, think about it. Adaptability, compromise. These are often framed as strategic thinking.
Right, especially in big organizations, fast-moving ones, got to be flexible.
Exactly, and that's why genuine, unshakable conviction, it feels countercultural. It goes against the grain.
But that's also what gives it its power, right? Its authenticity. It stands out.
Absolutely. It's rare, and we need to be honest about the cost benefit here. There is an immediate cost to integrity sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You might lose a deal.
Miss a promotion.
Strain relationships even, because you won't just go along.
Exactly. But then you have to weigh that against the other side of the ledger.
Yeah.
The hidden cost of compromise.
Which is?
Well, it's subtle at first. A quiet decay of your influence. Your purpose gets fragmented. Trust erodes both how others see you and, crucially, how you see yourself.
So you might win that one battle, make that quarters numbers.
But you've lost the long war for your own credibility. It
Yeah.
just chips away at you.
You see this play out in some really old leadership stories. I mean, King Saul, that's a classic cautionary tale.
A tragic one, yeah. He's facing this huge pressure, impending battle. His troops are getting nervous. They need that divine sign-off, basically. But Samuel, the prophet who's supposed to do the ritual, he's late.
He's delayed, and here's where you have to ask, was Saul just making a bad tactical call, or was it deeper? Was it fear driving it?
Probably fear, right. He bypasses the explicit instruction, the divine protocol, and he offers this sacrifice himself, something he was absolutely not authorized to do.
And you can almost hear the rationalization, can't you? If I don't do something, the troops will scatter, will lose. It's a practical necessity.
Totally. It wasn't coming from a place of, pure evil malice. It was fear. It was expediency, choosing the convenient path over the commanded one.
Convenience over conviction. Breaking that internal consistency we talked about, that wholeness, because of immediate pressure.
And the consequence.
The consequence was catastrophic for him. The kingdom was torn away, and the lesson isn't just don't break religious rules.
Yeah.
It's that his willingness to compromise his moral contract, right when opposition hit, showed he wasn't actually fit for the long haul. His leadership foundation was shaky because he lacked that deep trust, that patience.
Patience and fear. A dangerous combination.
So if Saul shows us the pitfalls, let's flip it. Look at the positive blueprints. Joseph's story. That's a masterclass, really, in maintaining integrity under immense private pressure.
Yeah, his life is just one test after another.
Yeah.
Betrayed, sold into slavery, then he finally gets a decent gig in Potiphar's house.
And boom, temptation arrives. Big time. Potiphar's wife. And this isn't, a threat of violence. It's an offer.
An offer of pleasure, maybe power, maybe a faster track upwards, coming from someone with huge social authority over him.
Most people, in his shoes, you could almost understand them rationalizing it. What choice do I have? Look at my circumstances.
But his response, It's incredible. He doesn't just say, no, my boss will kill me.
No, he reframes it entirely. He asks, how then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?
That specific phrasing,
Oh.
sin against God.
Exactly. It tells you everything about his internal wiring. His ultimate authority, his primary accountability, it wasn't Potiphar's wife. It wasn't even the fear of getting caught by humans.
It was internal, anchored higher.
Anchored higher.
Mm.
That internal consistency, that wholeness, gave him the strength to resist immediate gratification and massive external pressure. He chose the ethical path.
Even though, and this is key, the immediate result was terrible.
Yeah.
False accusation, prison.
Right. And that's crucial. If integrity always paid off immediately, it wouldn't require faith, would it? The sources frame it this way, I think, to show that integrity's value isn't just in the external reward.
Intrinsic.
It's intrinsic, and the real consequences, the real vindication, might be long-term. The prison time, ironically, proved his character further. He was honorable in freedom. He remained honorable in chains.
Good.
And maintaining that character, even through suffering, is what ultimately positioned him years later for that divine vindication, saving a whole region from famine. His integrity was the long-game asset that protected his ultimate purpose.
That's a powerful reframe. Okay, so Joseph is private integrity. What about Daniel? Feels very different, very public.
Very public, yes. He's in Babylon, high-ranking official, and this decree comes out. Pray only to the king or face the lion's den.
He could have just prayed quietly, right? Behind closed doors, kept his faith private, complied publicly. Easy fix.
Could have. But he understood something about the power of public witness, didn't you? He kept praying 3 times a day, facing Jerusalem.
With his windows open. That detail always gets me.
It's deliberate. It's a conscious choice. He wasn't just maintaining personal piety. He was making his integrity a visible public statement, an unmistakable declaration of allegiance.
Turning that opposition, that threat into
a proving ground, a testament. He transformed a political power play into this profound spiritual moment.
And we see this pattern elsewhere too, right? Moses facing Pharaoh.
Absolutely. Moses' whole mission hung on not compromising that core demand. Let my people go. He didn't water it down to make Pharaoh happy or his own life easier.
Stood firm.
Stood firm. And think about the Old Testament prophets, Elijah, Jeremiah. Their job description was basically speaking inconvenient, unpopular truths to power.
Yeah, they weren't exactly winning popularity contests.
Not at all. They faced ridicule, persecution, danger.
Yeah.
But they chose that over compromising the message, over prioritizing their personal safety or comfort. The blueprint is consistent. Conviction over convenience, especially when opposition arises.
Okay, these ancient stories are incredibly powerful blueprints. But let's bring it home. How do we translate this to our modern Babylon moments, in the office, making tough calls in an organization?
It's a great question because usually the pressures today are more subtle, right?
Yeah.
It's less lion's den, more ethical gray areas or unspoken expectations.
Right. So let's take a scenario. Scenario 1, the unethical directive. Your boss, maybe implicitly, maybe explicitly, asks you to cut some corners on quality control, or maybe fudge the sales numbers a bit to hit the quarterly target. Pressure disguised as team player necessity.
Okay. The integrity response here probably isn't storming out or shouting from the rooftops. It's often quieter, more strategic, but just as firm.
Like what?
Like calmly, respectfully expressing your concerns. Maybe citing company policy or ethical guidelines, saying something like, I understand the pressure we're under, but I'm not comfortable doing X because it conflicts with Y policy or our stated values.
So you refuse, but professionally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refusing to bow to the statue. They didn't pick a fight aggressively. They just stated their position firmly. We cannot do this. Even if it risks the job, the promotion, that quiet, principled pushback, it has weight because it's based on standards, not just personal opinion.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the trickier ones? Scenario 2, the genuine ethical dilemma, the real gray area stuff. Like, say, a company is struggling financially. Layoffs seem like the quickest, most expedient solution to stop the bleeding.
Ah, yes. Profit versus people, a classic dilemma.
So what does integrity look like there? It's not necessarily unethical to do layoffs, right?
Not inherently unethical, no. But a leader, guided by integrity, understands their responsibility extends beyond just the bottom line. They have a stewardship responsibility to their people, too.
So integrity means?
It means you don't jump to the easiest solution. You actively explore all the alternatives first. Can we do temporary pay cuts starting at the top? A hiring freeze? Can we find operational efficiencies? Can we restructure? Integrity demands pursuing the most just and compassionate path possible, even if it's harder, even if it requires more sacrifice from leadership itself. It's about the process and the intent, not just the outcome.
That really broadens the definition. It's not just about not lying. It's about actively seeking the right way.
Precisely. Which leads us nicely into the internal battleground, because often the integrity fight is lost inside our own heads before the external pressure even fully manifests.
The enemy within. Okay, what are these internal traps we need to watch out for?
Well, the source material highlights a few key ones, and maybe the most dangerous, the most subtle, is rationalization.
The stories we tell ourselves.
We are masters at it. Look, just this once. Everyone else is doing it. It's standard practice. The company needs this to survive. The ends justify the means.
That cognitive dissonance moment where your actions clash with your beliefs, so you subtly shift your beliefs to feel okay about the action.
Bingo. That's exactly what Saul did, wasn't it? He rationalized disobedience as practicality. It makes sense in this situation. That's the internal compromise starting.
Okay, rationalization.
Yeah.
What else?
Then there's the fear of man. And this isn't just fear of physical harm like Daniel. It's fear of disapproval, fear of losing status, fear of not being liked or accepted.
Like Peter denying Jesus, that temporary lapse under pressure.
Exactly. In a modern workplace, it's maybe staying silent in that meeting where an unethical decision is being discussed. You know it's wrong, but you don't speak up because you don't want to rock the boat or get labeled as not a team player. You prioritize fitting in over standing firm.
Okay, fear of man.
Also related is the temptation to prioritize a false peace, just avoiding conflict at all costs, letting unethical stuff slide, hoping it goes away because confrontation is uncomfortable.
Sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah, but real peace requires dealing with issues, not ignoring them. And finally, the classic Faustian bargain, trading something valuable and long-term for immediate, short-term gain.
Like Esau selling his birthright for a bowl of stew because he was hungry right now.
Perfect example. Or think of a modern exec selling off crucial R&D or intellectual property just to juice this quarter's profits and get their bonus. It's short-sighted, temporary satisfaction, but potentially permanent strategic damage and loss of credibility.
These internal traps, they're insidious because they feel so reasonable in the moment.
They really do. That's why having a framework, a checklist almost, becomes so important.
Right. If these traps are lurking, we need something practical, something actionable. And the source material offers principles that we've kind of distilled into an integrity checklist, not just theory, but like strategic steps.
Exactly. It's about making conviction operational, building it into how you actually make decisions.
Okay, let's walk through it. Number 1 on the checklist, anchor to absolute truth. Find your unchanging standard.
This is foundational. What's the non-negotiable benchmark you measure everything against? The action step here is to consciously consult that standard before you're in the heat of the moment.
So for the leaders in these biblical stories, that standard was clearly Scripture, God's character. For someone listening today, it might be that, or what else?
It could be a company's founding mission statement if it's truly lived. A professional code of ethics, like the Hippocratic Oath for doctors.
Yeah.
A personal moral code you've explicitly defined. The key is know your anchor so you don't drift when the waves of convenience hit.
Got it. Okay, number 2, clarify core values. These are maybe more specific than the absolute truth anchor.
Yeah, think of them as the specific commitments that flow from your anchor. What are your personal non-negotiables? Honesty, fairness, courage, compassion. The action is to actually articulate them, write them down.
And
then, when faced with a decision, explicitly hold up the potential responses against those values. If transparency is a core value and your boss says, let's keep this quiet, that's an immediate clash. It triggers the integrity alarm bell.
Okay, number 3, prioritize long-term impact. Think beyond the immediate.
This one's huge for resisting pressure. Operate with a longer horizon, maybe even an eternal perspective, depending on your anchor. The action step is simple but powerful. Pause. Ask yourself, how will this decision look in 5 years, 10 years, when I look back?
That helps shrink the immediate pressure, doesn't it? Puts today's crisis in perspective.
Exactly. It gives weight to enduring principles over fleeting gains or temporary discomfort.
Number 4, seek wise counsel. Don't trust yourself entirely.
Because we all have blind spots, right? Especially when we're stressed or tempted to rationalize. The action here is to intentionally build a small circle of trusted advisors.
Not just buddies who'll agree with you.
Definitely not. People you respect, who share your core values, but who aren't afraid to challenge your thinking, to poke holes in your rationalizations. Present the dilemma honestly to them. It's a critical safeguard against self-deception.
Okay. Number 5, count the cost, then commit. Be realistic about the sacrifice.
Integrity isn't usually the easy path. It often requires sacrifice. So the action is, be honest about the potential cost before you commit.
What might I lose? Reputation, money, a relationship.
Yes. Acknowledge it up front, don't pretend it won't hurt, but then, having counted the cost, make the commitment to do what's right anyway, trusting that the long-term outcome, the preservation of your character, is worth it. This isn't about being reckless, it's about sober-minded resolve.
Knowing the price and choosing to pay it. Wow. Okay, finally, number 6, practice transparency and accountability. Don't hide.
Integrity thrives in the light, right?
Exactly.
Secrecy is where compromise often breeds. So the action is, when you make a tough ethical call, especially one that impacts others, be transparent about the why.
Explain the decision.
Explain the values that guided it. Communicate clearly. This not only builds trust, even if people don't love the decision itself, but it also models ethical leadership for everyone around you. It makes integrity visible.
That checklist. It really moves integrity from being a vague ideal to a set of concrete practices.
That's the goal, to make it a muscle you actively exercise. Tag outro.
So let's try and bring this all full circle. What we've seen from this deep dive is that integrity, real wholeness, isn't just about passively avoiding bad things.
No, it's an active force. It's dynamic. It's about actively, courageously upholding what is right, especially when it's hard.
It's the inner strength, that internal consistency that lets you stand firm against the tide, because you understand deep down that the eventual cost of convenience, of compromise, it's always, always higher than the immediate cost of conviction.
Which brings us to a final challenging thought that emerges from this material. It reframes the core question a leader should ask.
Instead of
asking the self-protective question, what will this cost me, financially, politically, socially? Yeah.
a leader truly defined by integrity asks a different question entirely. They ask, what honors my ultimate standard, be it God, my core values, my oath, and what strengthens my soul regardless of the immediate external cost?
Wow. That shifts the focus completely inward and upward.
It does. It prioritizes character over consequence.
So for everyone listening, maybe the challenge this week is to take these principles, this checklist, and apply them. The next time you face opposition, that pressure point.
Whether it's a difficult conversation, an internal temptation to rationalize, a tough organizational choice,
See it differently. Don't see it just as an obstacle or a threat. See it as that proving ground. An opportunity, actually, to demonstrate, perhaps mostly to yourself, what truly defines you.
because that is the bedrock. That's where lasting influence, real legacy, is actually built. Not on the easy wins, but on the hard-fought stands for what's right.